everybody.
Welcome to the Can't Vouch for podcast. This is our second time filming this.
You know, it's like the first pancake. You do it, it's bad, you throw it out, you start over. It's fine.
This is the second pancake. So let's start by introducing ourselves. Let's say what's up.
Absolutely. You want to go first?
Sure. My name is Rachel, and I am a junior, and I'm a music major at WashU in St. Louis. I'm a theater kid, and that brings both the good and the bad. I love everything that has to do with the internet, especially YouTube stuff, but I get clowned on a lot for not knowing any TV show, any movies, anything that is mainstream popular. I probably don't know it, and that's not to be like I'm not like the other girls, but that's to be like I literally don't know anything. So that's me.
And then I kind of make up for it because I'm such a TV movie nerd. I have so many opinions about so many movies. And I am also a junior at WashU. I'm pre-med and everything that comes with. But I'm also a music major. I'm a Taurus.
I'm a Virgo, for anyone who wanted to know.
Rachel's a Virgo. And I'm really excited. This podcast has been years in the making at this point.
Literally all last year we were like, let's make a podcast. And we're like, this is going to go on our podcast. We never made it. It literally took...
We would have these 2-hour conversations. And then at the end, that would have made such a good podcast.
Yeah.
Today, we've stopped ourselves from having this conversation.
Until now. So today, we're talking about cinematic masterpiece Niki and Gabi Take Bahamas. As I just heard, it is not Niki and Gabi Take the Bahamas.
No. They're taking any Bahamas that they can find.
And so this kind of started when Bianca texted me out of the blue. She's like, you need to watch this show. And I was like, okay. Like, whatever. But so I started watching it, and I texted her back. I was like, okay, it's time to make the podcast. We need to talk about this.
Because there's so many layers. There's so many, like, Instagram posts and follow-up videos. And then the drama that happened while they were on this vacation. There's so many layers. I have to talk about it. Might as well, make it our first podcast episode.
Yep. So, can you explain the show for those who don't know? Because I know everybody knows this show and everyone has watched it. But...
It'd be my pleasure. So, essentially, there are two twin sisters, Niki and Gabi. They have a joint YouTube channel, and they also have individual YouTube channels. And they're kind of like the girls of 2014.
Yeah.
Like Alicia Marie, Niki and Gabi, Mia Stammer, Lord DIY. Yeah, exactly. And so they started this series 5 years ago where I think it was originally spring break, they like invite their friends on a trip with Awesomeness TV and they film a reality show. So this year they take Bahamas.
Bahamas.
And so they have, do you want to say who's on the trip with them?
I mean, I kind of know. It's like, so it's some of Gabi's friends from her show Blood Queens.
Which I have not watched.
I have not watched either. I have to say I have not watched anything related to Niki and Gabi since the 2016 Black Friday haul.
I'm ashamed to say that I have.
And then it's like some random other people. Their boyfriends are there.
And then
Niki's assistant is there.
Boyfriend's best friend.
Yeah.
There's assistants. There's boyfriends. There's
their older sisters there.
Their older sister Alex. It's a whole motley crew.
Everyone is there. Everyone you would have thought of is there.
And so the first episode starts with them.
Let's dive right in.
Right in.
The first episode. I had no clue what was going on for basically the majority of the episode, mostly because nothing was going on. There was them playing flip cup to get their rooms was in that episode. Gabi didn't want to play flip cup, so she just flipped her cup over and she left. She darted out of there. I just don't know why they made the stakes so high on that when the rooms were already assigned. Like, why were they running?
I'm very confused with the whole thing because it was like everyone has a designated cup with a designated room number under the cup, but the order that you get to the room is determined by the game. It like made no sense.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of like
the show.
Yeah. It's like nothing makes sense, and it's kind of just like adding stuff in for no reason.
It's like the show has very tight parameters for where they want the drama to go.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, but we have no idea how we're going to get there except for the fact that we kind of do. So.
Yeah. Half of my notes about this episode were about Gabi's outfits.
Inspiration.
The outfits in this show, okay, are horrible. So bad.
Don't worry, because most of them get ruined by drinks or bodily fluids.
For some reason, they're everything's happening in this show. And something that really irked me about the first episode was, again, them kind of trying to make drama out of nowhere, where Gabi just kind of out of nowhere is like, I want to spill the tea. Alex, who's like their older sister, and Kyle, who's Nate's best friend, have hooked up in the past. So she's like, makes them play Never Have I Ever. And then he's like, Two Truths and a Lie. And she does two truths about herself and a truth and a lie about herself. And then she's like, Alex and Kyle have hooked up before. And I was like,
it's really funny to me because it's when she said that in the interview, I'm expecting like a couple questions before, a couple rounds before, like working your way up to the, no. She's like, let's play Two Truths and a Lie, Alex and whatever have hooked up before. Like, why not just say it? It's so bizarre. And then the whole room is kind of like, which Alex? Like, what are you talking about? Like, it did not hit the way that she wanted to hit. Everyone was kind of confused and like, why are you saying this right now?
And then it wasn't brought up ever again. And that's kind of, I kind of think that's how the show goes. It's like, they bring up drama, but then it has no consequences ever later. Like, and I think we'll see that throughout the rest of the episodes, but like, there's like a little dramatic moment and a lot of it just doesn't have consequences.
And because if it did, this whole group would dissolve and just wouldn't be friends anymore.
I mean, it's not nice. They would be friends anyways. They don't seem like they're even friends at all.
And then the majority, actually, the only note about this episode that I have is Niki and the iced coffee.
Wait, I thought that was that the second episode though?
No, that was the first episode. It was when they get back to after the cup thing, they get to their room, they're getting settled. I think it's actually the next morning. They've slept, they're waking up, this is the thing that really confuses me. So you immediately see people drinking out of Starbucks cups and eating out of like, those little Starbucks bags. And he's like, where's my iced coffee? It's like, they obviously ordered Starbucks.
Why did you get in on that?
And then she's like, the crew said they were brewing me hot coffee. And I'm like, well, then why didn't you just order from Starbucks like everyone? And if there's Starbucks nearby, just go get some. It's really hot outside. Like, I do understand why she wouldn't want to drink hot coffee and put ice in it. I get that. My issue was, one, she's so incredibly rude to the crew.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bizarre because it's like, it's your show, you know you're on camera. Why are you acting like this?
Yeah.
It's not, because she said in one of her Instagram posts, she's like, I just act like the cameras aren't there. I go, that's still an issue though.
Yeah, if you're acting
like, if this was,
there, no cameras there, what?
If this was leaked on Twitter later that you were an asshole to this crew member, like, we would still be having the same discussion.
Yeah.
And so I just don't understand. Like, it has to be fake then, because she could have just gotten a nice coffee from Starbucks. They like to pretend that the Bahamas is like a deserted island.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know if that was manufactured or what, but it just looked really bad.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, like, certain instances that are kind of, like, demonstrating kind of just the entire show's themes, like, I feel like that really shows, like, and I have a lot of notes about it, like, the sense of entitlement from the members of the cast. It's like, in episode 2, they go on that tour, like that rum tour or whatever, and then they were being like rude to the people who like work there, and
it's so horrible to watch.
It like actually hurt me to watch, because I was like, I would never, like, they're all just like, I'm just so drunk, like, this is like a high school field trip, like, and they're just like being mean to everybody, and I'm like, guys, like, what?
And also, here, we'll just jump right into episode 2. It's so obvious to me that Niki and Nate don't know each other well.
Yeah.
Because Nate is saying, like, I'm so interested in this. He's, like, sipping his drink like a normal human being would.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm really excited to learn more about the Bahamas while we're here. Like, this is really interesting to me. And Niki is literally a wet blanket on him. Like, babe, kiss me, hold me, blah, blah, blah. I'm so drunk. Like,
yeah,
that's not fun to be around. That's not a good girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
I wish that one of her friends would have pulled her aside and just said, hey, this is not cute behavior right now. Like, if you want to go home, we'll get you a bus home. But, like, let's have some decorum here, please.
Yeah, that, and first of all, she's getting jealous of Nate and Kyle, which I don't know. I really don't know what to say about that. Second of all, again, with the entitlement, she's like, I really like Gabi and Colin go on vacations together all the time, and like Nate and I are like, we're too busy to go on vacations. Like, I just want to go on a vacation with him. I need it so bad. Like, girl, your vacations or whatever should not like determine how your relationship is in any way.
Yeah. So true. And just, they all seem like they think being an alcoholic is like a cute personality trait.
Okay. I don't know if it's just me, but people who say they have drunk alter egos really piss me off.
You know how I feel about this.
What's it, Booby, or whatever the first one is, and then Captain Rebecca. So if you don't know what we're talking about Gabi's drunk alter egos, and it's kind of like when she's like, she's doing the Captain Rebecca, and she's like, I'm just gonna stop, my voice hurts. I was like, girl, what? It's again like, another thing about this show is like, everyone wants attention all the time.
I wrote so many notes about that. Like, it's just a group of people competing for attention. That's the whole show.
Yeah. And one of my notes about episode 2 is there was like some interview or something where they're like, oh, we didn't want to invite Rachel because we didn't, they're like, we don't want her to be there. And then later in a different episode, they're like, we didn't think that she would bring anything to the show or the drama. I'm like, are you kidding me? She's been having drama with everybody, like every single episode. She's the only one doing anything.
Oh, I'm a little bit confused about that as well, because then did she like have in her contract, like, I'm just gonna stir shit? for the entire show.
Absolutely insane. Well, I'm not gonna jump, but when we get to episode
5.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, 4. And she is kind of just doing stuff that's like, I don't know if it's her being drunk that's like prompting her to do these things, but she is just unnecessarily starting drama with everybody.
Yeah. She's like, hey, I fucking hate you.
You want a shove? I'll give you a shove.
Give you a shove. We'll get there. And also, speaking of Rachel, the only moment in the whole show where I felt bad for her was at the wine tasting.
Yeah.
Because I've been to a wine tasting, and that is what you do. Like, a sommelier comes in, and they say, okay, what does everybody smell? What does everybody taste? And obviously, there wasn't a sommelier, and that wasn't happening. And she was just trying to create the fun that she's previously had. Like, I saw myself in her in that moment, because she's just trying to get everybody off of, I'm so tired, I'm so drunk. Like, she was just trying to create fun. And everyone was so mean to her.
Yes.
Absolutely. And even in, like, the interviews, no one was, like, what I thought the interviews were going to be is, we were really unnecessarily mean to her. Like, I feel bad watching this. No. In the interviews, they're all like, yeah, that was so dumb what she was saying. I was like, oh, God.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about episode 3. The first instance of weird excrement-related incidents in this show.
Bodily functions are a big part of this show.
It's just, you wouldn't think that this would be part of the show as a central theme, but it is for some reason. So,
it is.
Basically, just to, I wrote children, and there's a few things here. Well, first of all, when Rachel's stirring shit up, she poured sand in their suitcases, in Niki and Nate's suitcases for some reason. Again,
and no one ever confronts her. There's
with no consequences for that. Like, it never is brought up again. Second of all, who was chasing, was it Niki chasing Colin?
Yes.
With underwear that looked like it had a skid mark on it. It was like brown tie-dye.
Underwear that had been like tie-dyed brown.
Yeah. And it was like a whole like 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes of the episode that was just them running around, and I was like with that, and I was like, this is unnecessary.
And they figured into the fact that Rachel had been like taking bites of her Starbucks breakfast sandwich in the morning and like leaving food all around this house. It's disgusting.
Yeah, like literally half of the episode was them just chasing each other around with breakfast sandwiches, with underwear. Like, it's weird, and I think we'll talk about it a little bit later. Knowing their audience, I'm so confused as to who this is directed at.
100%. And I also just wanted to touch on, at the end of episode 2,
yes,
Jessie, who's Niki's assistant, one of her like favorite college professors dies. And she's so upset. And Niki and Alex come in and say to her, it's a part of life. It's like, she's really upset, and they're just so dismissive of her feelings. It's very much like, you're not high enough in the attention hierarchy for us to like deal with you right now. So let's just move on and get back to chasing each other with underwear.
Yeah. Okay, a big part of episode 3 is, again, with Niki. She talks a lot about and kind of infers something. She's like, and maybe it's me not knowing my Niki background, but a lot of the time she infers, she's like, you know, it's what I'm going through is so hard. Like, I don't know, like, everyone knows what I'm going through, but then never really explains anything, or like he knows what I go through every day is what she says about Nate. Um, and I feel like that could have been like, I feel like they're trying to make it into some weird drama, but they're not like really doing anything about it. And I feel like it could have been like a good moment to be like, I'm having trouble right now, but like if there was some sort of like resolution to that, or like, and I feel
And
like
I
it's
just
kind of a theme throughout the season and they don't do anything about it.
I just don't like, I wanted them to stop and like have an interview with Niki, because that's the point of an interview, is
Yeah.
to give context into what's happening in the show. And I wanted her to say, I'm really depressed, whether it's like inexplicably depressed, like I just feel horrible all the time, or this thing happened and therefore I feel depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted her to talk about if that inspired like why she chose to go on this vacation when she's been feeling like this. Not saying that she shouldn't have gone. I just think it is important for the audience to understand her motivations for going, because she doesn't really seem like she's enjoying herself.
Yeah.
And so the conclusion that I come to is for the show to get paid, whatever.
Yeah. And I feel like there's an instance in basically every single episode where Nikki's like, I'm not happy, like I don't want to be here, like I feel sick or whatever. And you know, I feel like they're trying to like create some drama into it, and you'll see later in episode, is that 5 or no, that's 4. Yeah. It's either 5 or 4, but you know, people get mad at her for like being very negative, and they like turn it into drama, and it's like I feel like if it's like a mental health thing, I don't think it should be handled that way, and I feel like the show handles it very poorly.
And with the audience, it's very confusing what message you're trying to impart. Like, don't bring your depressed friend on vacation because they suck. Like,
yeah,
is that really the message we want to be spreading? But I also wanted to say, like, first of all, this whole show made me like Gabi so much more. But when Gabi was talking to Niki on the couch, when Niki was really depressed, and she was like, it's okay, like you're gonna get through this, like I was really proud of you today for X thing, whatever. Like I really liked that moment, and that really showed me what I thought the show could have been,
yeah.
And then what happens?
Well, I have a note about okay, was this the pole dancing episode or is the next episode? Okay, next episode is the pole dancing episode. But I just feel like this show, again, with like not knowing their audience, they just spend basically every single episode just getting blasted, like so drunk, and then they just see what drama comes from that. And I feel like, I mean, maybe this is me assuming, but I feel like their audience is probably like teenage girls, like, and I feel like it's kind of a weird setup for a show. And also like, yeah, just like all of the show is like, oh my god, we're so drunk, like I am so drunk, like I'm like, and I feel like it's so weird. And I don't know, I mean, maybe they think that, oh, people wouldn't want to watch a show where, it's just friends going to the Bahamas and stuff like that, but I feel like people would.
Yeah, and I made a big note about that, is in Niki's Instagram post and in her video that she just posted talking about kind of the backlash of the show, she says drama sells and no one would want to watch a show where people are just getting along. And I go, that's not really true. Like, think about like Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants kind of vibes. This show could have easily.
I have that.
God, I forgot. First, we need like a Rachel doesn't know pop culture like blinker to go on the screen. Well, I just mean like it could have easily been an uplifting show where every day the girls, like Love Island, the girls, you know, get ready together. They talk about what they're going to do for the day. They go do a fun activity. Like, you know, normal amounts of disagreements, but like overall fun. And especially because both Niki and Gabi are very fashion focused, you know, regardless of the quality.
Yeah.
I think they could have made the show more about that and more interesting. I don't know. I think their assumption that the show would only be successful with a huge amount of drama, I think is incorrect.
Yeah.
And I'm very confused, again, who their audience is. I'm 21. You're 20, right?
I'm 19.
You're 19. Perfect. Love it. And it's obviously not for us. It's for younger than us.
Yeah.
But I don't understand, like, what 15-year-olds gonna be like, oh my god, Niki and Gabi are blackout? This is great content. Like, I don't understand.
And also, what kind of message that's sending, like, oh, when every time you get drunk, you need to get out, like, blackout drunk. It's kind of a message to be sending.
Like, normal people of drinking age will sip a cocktail. That's like normal.
Yeah.
And so at the end of, it's very confusing, like the episode setup.
Yes.
So the drama happens in the last 30 seconds of an episode.
And then continues.
Of the next one. And so at the end of episode 4, they're in this bar, and Niki is not feeling well for a prolonged period of time. I'm assuming this was like 2 to 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the beginnings, you know, in that section of drama, I made a note. I really like Kyle in the scene. He's talking to Devin, who is like, you know, he's not like your average person.
Just so we are clear, my favorite character in the entire show is Dennis.
By default, honestly, though. It's not a high compliment.
Well, I think they also kind of set him up that way because it's kind of like when there's like a more narrating character, like in Bachelor in Paradise, they would always have Demi be like, oh yeah, this person's doing this person's doing this, like kind of like the funny character kind of narrating what everyone else is doing. I feel like he kind of fills that role in this show.
Yeah, like I definitely think that he is kind of the people's voice. Like in a lot of interviews, he's like, what the hell is that person doing? Like he's very much kind of bringing it back to what the audience is feeling, because I think without him, the show would just wander because they're all kind of crazy.
For sure. All right, so what were you saying about episode 4?
At the end of episode 4, I made a note that Colin is going around acting like everybody's therapist. Like he's sitting with Alex, the older sister, and she's talking about not making it in Hollywood, not being an actress. And he's like, no, you're so great. Like Gabi hired you to be on her show, Blood Queens. Like you're a great actress. And I just felt so bad for him because that's not really his job in this friend group, is like to go around and tell everybody and make everybody feel better. And Nate is like not really doing anything for Niki when she's not feeling well. Like nobody's saying to her, like, do you want to go home? Like, can I take you home? He's just like kind of rubbing her back, kind of just like staring at her.
Yeah. Weird. To go back to the middle of episode 4, one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. They go pole dancing.
How did we skip this?
And okay. My first note on this is, why are they going pole dancing? Why aren't they just chilling on the beach? There's a surprising lack of beach time in this show, considering that you're in Bahamas. Second of all, again, going back to them not knowing their audience. This entire scene, okay, is about how the girls are trying to like turn on the guys.
And they say that.
Yeah,
They don't
say that.
they don't say feel sexy. They say I'm trying to turn on Colin.
Yeah, I have an exact quote from Gabi in this episode. 1, he gets to see my ass and I get to turn him on. 2, I get to see his ass and he can turn me on.
I vomited.
What is this doing in this show?
And it's very, like, abrupt when these moments happen. Like, it's jarring. Because they act 14 99% of the time. And then they're like, sex and alcohol. And I'm like,
yes.
I don't get that.
And skipping forward to episode 5 for a second. She goes into a men's bathroom and while he is peeing, like, hugs him from behind. That has no place being in this show. And plus the fact that there was a camera in there anyways in that bathroom for that shot to happen is, first of all, weird. Second of all, staged.
Yes. And the thing about this show is, like, the moments that you go, that's, like, really bizarre, that has to be real, are the moments that are clearly staged.
Yeah.
Which I don't really understand. Like, are these production meetings, which I'm assuming happened before the trip, then, Gabi, you're going to go into the bathroom and try to have sex with Colin while he's peeing, and a producer will go in before you to make sure that there's no one at the urinal next to Colin, because that would be a little weird.
But one of my favorite also quotes from the pole dancing scene is when Kyle says that Alex and Rachel, who are like kind of like facing off and trying to like seduce Kyle in some way, which those two seem to have a lot of beef. You will see it kind of happens at the end of this episode, but Kyle says that they are extraterrestrial because they are moving their bodies in such a way that seems inhuman, and that is my favorite part of this.
How did I overlook that? It's not in my notes.
Really, like, they're extraterrestrial, like, they're moving their bodies in, like, such a crazy way. That was my favorite part of the episode.
And back to the pole dancing thing, why does Gabi want to turn on her boyfriend in front of her sisters?
Yeah.
I'm very confused about that. This is not, like, a private moment. Like, it honestly would have made more sense if, like, Gabi decided to go do this activity, Niki decided to go do this activity. Like, all of those interactions would have made more sense if it was, like, a private moment.
But they're just doing it in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
It's strange.
Yeah. So the end of this episode is kind of, as we said earlier, Alex goes and talks to Colin about how she's not making it in Hollywood and she's upset, and Rachel's looking on with like a few other people at this bar, and she's like, oh, she's always complaining, like she's probably complaining about, I forget what they said that she was complaining about, but like she was incorrect in what she was complaining about. I think she was like, she's complaining about us or something.
This was my favorite part because Rachel goes, she's probably complaining that she doesn't get enough attention. And I'm like, you mean what all of you have said every minute of this entire show?
That and like, yeah, so she goes and she's like, oh, she's probably like complaining, like all she ever does is complain. And then she goes and makes her way around the bar and whispers to every single person, like, all Alex does is fucking complain. To like every single person, even Colin. And then the two of them have beef. They like go outside and Rachel's like, you don't value my friendship. Like, you need to have my friendship now, not just like when you want it. And it was like the most random
and interaction. It was so bizarre. Like, I felt like someone was feeding them lines.
Yeah.
Because Rachel would say one thing and then Alex would be like, yeah, like it was just so like, unnatural.
Rachel, you know what?
It was so unnatural and so bizarre. And it was like they were just saying random things to just egg the other one on, and it just made no sense. Like, the night is over, everyone's going home, and they're, like, just starting this fight. It made no sense.
Yeah. I was wrong. That is at the end of episode 5, but it starts at the end of episode 4.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So I'm talking about episode 5. It's kind of like a continuation of, like, the stuff that happens at the bar.
Jessie randomly pours a glass of water on Niki, her
because
boss.
she says that she's, like, so, like, oh, yeah, we forgot to say, so Niki, this is, like, I mean, you said it kind of earlier, this is where Niki's, like, feeling sick the whole time at the bar, and she's like, all these, you know, this has a beautiful, like, ambiance. I would have been, like, taking Instagram pictures, like, all these drinks look so good, like, you know I'm sick if I don't want to, like, have any of those things. And then, yeah, Jessie, Niki's assistant, decides, she goes up to her and she's like, Niki, like, you're feeling so, like, mad, like, for no reason. And she's like, I'll give you something to be mad about. And she pours a drink on her, and then this whole thing happens where, again,
feels so bad about it. She said she's gonna go throw up.
Yeah, she said she's gonna go throw up because she feels so bad about it. And then again, kind of like this childish stuff, Gabi goes and pours a drink on Jessie afterwards, like, you don't mess with my sister.
And again, Niki is, go home. I don't understand, because their other friend, Alex, is, like, dehydrated in bed at home. So there's obviously, like, some issues with this trip.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Niki's probably dealing with whatever Alex is dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, extend the trip, wait for everybody to feel better. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Why Niki is just, like, pushing herself, and why Nate isn't saying to her, like, let's just go, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Very confusing.
Yeah.
And so they finally leave the club, bar, whatever.
Wait, can I just quickly say, this is the episode where, Rachel gets into, like, a mini beef with Niki and Gabi, because there was, like, this whole thing about, like, somebody, like, Jessie told her, I think, that one of the twins didn't want her on the show.
Gabi didn't want her on the show because she had forwarded Rachel Gabi's emails saying, like, we don't want Rachel on the show.
And it was, again, Rachel doesn't bring anything to the show. And again, she's the only one, like, creating drama with everybody for no reason. So I think she brings something to the show, whether it's good or bad, that's for you to decide.
I mean, but also, like, my overarching feeling of the show is the drama is not interesting. Like, the show is still boring, regardless of all of the fake drama. Like, it's not doing anything. It's not like on The Bachelor or Love Island, where the drama is, like, so interesting you have to know what happens next.
Pepper Peter season.
I don't know if it's the way that they cut it or what. Like, it's not interesting.
No.
And the thing that confused me the most was who called the cops.
My favorite part of this episode was
Gabi running around looking for Colin.
Colin's interview where he goes, when I see the cops, I hide. Why is he hiding from the cops?
But who called the cops and why? They're just standing on the street.
Yeah.
And then they act like the cops are gonna, like, follow them home too, because when they're in the car, they're like, put your head down.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and the cliffhanger for this episode is Niki and Nate are in their room, and Niki goes, I shit my pants. I knew this happened. I knew I was sick. Again, why is this happening? Why is this being put on public television?
Not like they teased this once. It's not like they teased this twice. They've teased this at the beginning of every episode and in the show trailer. Like, this is, for all intents and purposes, this is the climax of the show. And she goes, I shit my pants. And Nate's kind of like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, and then she shows it to him. I'm like, girl.
He like takes her underwear and like shows, she's like, here, look. And he's like,
disgusting.
ew.
Why was that in the show?
But also, like, I'm really confused because they're downstairs comforting Alex B because she has to go home because she's so dehydrated or whatever.
Yeah.
So she was home when she shit her pants?
Or was she at the bar? What is up?
Like, how many hours ago did this happen? Because she's so upset, it seems like it just happened. But, like, at that point, you're home. Like, why do you even care? Like, yeah, it's uncomfortable. But, like,
I don't even know.
It doesn't make any sense.
All right, the final episode that's out so far. Episode 6. This is the one that Bianca says she has some sort of interesting opinion about. What happens in this episode is they go on a boat to go to, like, there's, like, I mean, it's pretty famous if you know anything about the Bahamas. Like, they have, like, the island with the iguanas, and then they went to the island with the pigs. So they kind of teased this in one of the earlier episodes. I think it was episode 3, where Niki gets on a jet ski, even though she has a really big fear of the water. But kind of the main drama of this episode is about how Niki is very anxious when it comes to being out in the middle of the water with, like, nothing near her. And, like, kind of how her friends deal with that. And I don't know, I want to hear what you think about this.
So, I feel like I'm going to have a different opinion than you, just because I have been in this exact situation before.
Like, as the person with the
panic attack.
Okay.
So, when I was little, like, Los Angeles is really close to this island called Catalina. Everybody goes to Catalina all the time. Mm-hmm. You can either go by helicopter or by boat. And it was like a school field trip in 7th grade that we all went to Catalina, and we went by boat, and I had never been by boat before. And it was one of those situations where, like, in my head, I'm like, it's going to be a 15-minute boat ride. And the boat's leaving the shore. This is a huge boat, though. This is not like a little tiny boat like on the show. They go, okay, well, we'll be in Catalina in about 2.5 hours. And you do have, like, this sense of panic of, like, I didn't plan for this. I didn't know how long this was going to be. I haven't eaten. I haven't gone to the bathroom. I don't know if there's a bathroom on this boat. What if I feel seasick? I've never been seasick before. I didn't bring, all the schools.
Yeah.
Moms are passing out Dramamine. And you're like, do I have to take that? I don't know. Like, I really do understand where she's coming from. And I think the way that everyone around her was talking to her, specifically Nate, I was so confused by. Like, what I would have said in that situation is, like, I know an hour feels like a really long amount of time. That's like one episode of, whatever show.
Mm-hmm. That's 2 episodes of Niki and Gabi Take Bahamas.
Yeah. It's like, you can quantify that and make it feel like a shorter amount of time. No one told her to just take a deep breath. Like, she's upset, she's crying, she's hyperventilating. And no one is, like, saying anything that's really helping her.
Yeah.
What confuses me, because seemingly she has this issue a lot. So who in her life helps her through that, and why are they not on this trip? Like, that was my thought.
Yeah. This, like, one of my first thoughts was about, I feel like, I mean, it's pretty obvious that the producers didn't tell them about how long the boat ride would be to create, like, drama and to, like, basically make Niki have, like, a panic attack, which I think is so, like, so bad. And, like, it brings up an ethical issue. Like, why would you, like, put people on your show through that without, like,
And you can also tell, like,
withholding information from them.
when they first get on the boat, the guy's like, it's 15 minutes. Like, you can hear someone say 15 minutes. And so I totally, like, was on the mental journey with her of, like, oh, this is a short boat ride. And you can see, like, when somebody tells you, oh, it's going to be high speed, whatever, and then you experience that, it is horrible. Okay, I have been on those high speed, like, the whole boat is tilted like this in the water. It's a horrible experience. And I can understand her panic. Also, they could have stopped the boat for like 5 seconds. Like, just turn off the engine for 5 minutes. Give a girl a break. Whatever.
But they didn't do that. And it's, again, with people trying to like be attention seekers, where their older sister Alex, while Niki's literally having a panic attack on the boat, is like, I'm gonna throw up, like, I'm gonna throw up, it's so bad, and they like told me to go to the front of the boat, like, and then that kind of sets Niki off because she's like, you're kind of shaming me, which
I didn't see that as really shaming her. I
didn't either.
That is like, oh, this is like a real thing, like, everyone's hating this, and in a way it kind of made what Niki was experiencing seem more real to the audience, because it's like, it's not like everyone's like, this is so fun, and Niki's sitting there crying, you know?
Yeah, it was kind of weird when Nate was like, oh, why are you crying? I was like, I would think you would know why. I mean, at least on the show, I even knew that one of her biggest fears was like being on a boat in the middle of the ocean.
Like, Nate had said earlier with the jet skis, like, oh, I'm so proud of you. Like, she did so great today. And that is how fears work. Sometimes you have great days, and sometimes you have bad days. And it's like, he obviously dealt with that situation fine, but you can't deal with when they're having a bad day. Like, I'm very confused by their relationship, because it seems like they're not around each other very much.
Yeah. What was the whole thing about who was telling who to get medicated?
So what happened was, and I, again, like, justice for Gabi, like, I really felt so bad for her. What happened was, Jessie, the water thrower from earlier, and Gabi are having a conversation about what happened on the boat with Niki. Finally, somebody's actions have some kind of consequence. And Gabi's like, what she's trying to say is that they're identical twins, so they have the same body chemistry. And she had previously dealt with anxiety and depression, went on medication, and had great results, no longer had those debilitating symptoms. And so what she was trying to say was, I don't understand why Niki doesn't see what I went through and just go on, try the same medication that I was on, and like alleviate this pain for herself. Whereas Niki is seemingly trying to just work her way through it without medication, but it's not really yielding any good results.
Yeah.
And so Jessie then takes that information and says really loudly something like, you think Niki should be on medication? And Niki's like, what? Where, like, I really did understand what Gabi was coming from. She's like, it's uncomfortable for me to watch my twin go through what I've gone through. I wish she would just listen to me.
Yeah.
And do what I did. I totally got that. And then Niki, like, didn't really freak out at her, was just kind of like, I don't want to discuss this right now. I don't really care what you have to say. Like, the moment has passed, the anxiety has passed, it's whatever.
Yeah. And this was the episode where the drama actually went through the whole episode. I don't know if that was for better or for worse, but this was the one episode where I had a tiny issue with Dennis. And maybe it's just
bad for you.
My nature and not wanting to, like, go and pop off on people, but he is talking to Gabi and he's like, girl, you should go like pop off on Jesse, like go and like, you know, start, yes, go start shit with her and like I'll back you up. And I was like, Dennis, you were the chosen one. Why you were staying out of all the drama and then all of a sudden you want her to go and, you know, fight Jesse. And again, there wasn't any consequences for that, at least in this episode. I don't know about the next episode. I don't think she actually did anything. And so I don't know if that will, like, you know, happen in the next episode or if it won't happen again. Like everything else in this show, there are no consequences and they don't follow through on any actions. But that, I was a little bit mad at Dennis for that. And then to finish off the episode, more bodily fluids. Nate needs to pee on the boat. And for some reason, nobody told him there was a bathroom on the boat. And so they made him pee in a bucket in front of everybody. And I was like, wow.
First of all, I was so confused by the whole behavior. Because he's sitting there grunting?
Yeah.
That was a little confusing to me. And then I'm like, guys don't care. Like, guys will pee anywhere. It's not like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example, Jeffrey and I have taken road trips where he had to pee. It's like, you just pull over. It's not a big deal. And everyone's like, oh my God, the world is ending. I'm like, he's going to be fine.
You're in an ocean, dude.
First of all, they're all soaking wet because they're on like this high-speed boat. They're in bathing suits. Like,
yeah,
whatever. But continue.
Yeah, I was like, why are Niki and Nate having so many issues with their bodies right now? And why is this becoming drama in the show? Like, I am not interested in this.
Oh, you don't care?
I don't want to know anything about it. That I thought was so weird.
And then he, like, pees in a bucket, and then they were like, oh, there was a bathroom the whole time.
Yeah. And that was kind of the end of the episode for some reason. They were like, that was the perfect place to end. And so the next episode, they're going to Atlantis, and we'll see what happens there.
But I'm really confused because, so, while they were on this trip, there was this whole drama about this topless picture that Niki posted that Gabi didn't want posted because she wanted to Facetune her body before Niki posted it. Seemingly, that was on that beach.
Mm-hmm.
The one that they were just at. So did they not, like, did they pull, like, a Drama-geddon, like, we don't want to go there again thing? I was very confused.
They're pulling Shane Dawson X Jeffree Star. We tease the drama, but we don't actually put it in.
Yes, I was so confused about that. And I have to say, my favorite part of the entire show happened at the end of episode 6, which was when they're on the Iguana Island. And Rachel goes, I love lizards. And she tries to, like, pet one of them. And she goes, it's not going to bite me. And in my head, I'm like, I really hope she gets bitten. And then she goes, it bit me. That was a great moment.
Yeah.
And so now I just kind of want to talk about what we thought about each character, like what our current impressions are.
Okay.
Because I have some thoughts.
Can we start? I wrote down a list.
Go
we'll start with my king, Dennis.
Yes.
Okay? Besides that one part, I like him. As I said before, he's kind of like the narrator of the show. Like, he doesn't really take part in any of the drama, but he just kind of, like, he's the one kind of with the common sense, like, as you said before, who's like, why are they acting this way? Like, that's weird. I like him. What are your thoughts?
Has, like, the voice of the people vibe, like I said. No, I really like him. I wish that, honestly, I really liked him and Kyle's, like, little budding friendship.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many sweet moments. And even in the moment where, I don't remember if Dennis was there, but Alex, Nate, and Colin were, like, all out on, like, the deck or the patio shotgun years, and they were having like this really cute conversation. There were tiny, tiny moments of like, this is what I wish this show was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that those were the few actually organic moments that they cut down for like the stupid theatrics.
Yeah.
And I really like wanted more of that. And I think the reason why Dennis was edited out a lot is because I'm sure that's what he brought to the show.
Yeah.
Like most of Dennis was in interviews commenting on other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Next, I want to talk about Jessie. What are your opinions on Jessie?
My note about Jessie is, I'm confused. Why is she here? First of all, I feel like there's like something that's kind of inherently weird about bringing your assistant on a trip with like all your friends, because there's this weird, first of all, like boss, like assistant dynamic that's like going on where it's like, and then it's like if she, like that weird part where she like pours water on people, or like, you know, she's having her moment, and it's like there's just something a little bit weird about it, in my opinion.
And to me, well, I wrote down that she has a savior complex. And it seems like her role in... I'm very confused because... Oh, no. She's Niki's assistant. And she seems to, like, come to Niki's rescue a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Except for when Niki actually needs her.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like she stands up for her in all these, like, fake dramatic moments. But, like, when she was having the panic attack, she didn't really say anything helpful.
And when she's being sick, she's like, you're not sick. Yeah. Like, I'll pour water on you.
And then she, like, tried to start drama between Niki and Gabi, which is not, like, a helpful thing. Mm-hmm. So I was really confused why that would be someone you would want to keep in your life. Like, she just seems, like, horrible.
Yeah.
Alex... I feel horrible for.
I have mixed feelings about Alex. I like in that moment that you were just talking about where she's like talking, you know, she's just kind of like one of the guys, just kind of vibing. I like her there. But I do feel, you know, that she has like a little bit of entitlement. Like she kind of feels like she's like, I've been in Hollywood for 2 years. Like, why haven't I made it yet? And like, as Gabi says, like I did YouTube for 4 to 5 years before like I actually started, you know, making it. And I feel like she kind of is a little bit entitled, but at the same time, like Rachel had no business to be like, you know, spreading shit about her and being like, oh, all she does is complain. Like, I feel like she's like, has a target on her back for like no real reason and is kind of just like getting like involved in tons of drama for like no reason.
And also like with Alex, from kind of like a psychological analysis standpoint, like she seems like she's so attention starved that like YouTube is a small pond and she was like a small fish in a small pond. Mm-hmm. And I think she kind of thought, I'm going to go to Hollywood and I'm going to make it there and that's going to get me the attention that I want, when that's a much bigger pond. And I think she expected like immediate success because that's what she's interpreted happened for Niki and Gabi, which I don't think that it did. Mm-hmm. But also like I really want her to like go off and have her own life and have her own friends because she seems great. It's just when she's in this situation where she's competing for attention, it's not good for her. Like, it's not good for anybody.
Yeah. And I think, like, kind of, like, going off of that, like, the whole thing where it's like, well, Gabi cast you in her show because, you know, she, like, believes that you, you know, have...
what it takes.
Yeah, you have what it takes. And, like, that's nice. There was a little motorcycle action.
It was me on my scooter.
Yep. And yeah, like if your only acting jobs are like being given to you by your sisters, I can understand why you kind of feel like less than, because it's just like, oh yeah, my sisters are so successful, like they're giving me all my opportunities.
And even when Gabi was talking to her about that, she's like, I'm the producer, writer, and star. Like, she said it like that.
I made a note about that. Yeah.
It's like, can we just have a moment for somebody that isn't you for like 14 seconds?
Yeah.
And just all of their dynamics seem so unhealthy. Like, I just want all of them to like escape.
Every single one.
All of them. I just want them to like take a moment for themselves. Rachel just kind of sucks and it's annoying.
My note about her is, I'm surprised they thought she'd bring nothing to the show, because she's the only one bringing drama.
But it's not good. It's not interesting.
It's weird because I feel like her only, like, I have not seen, besides that one moment where she was like doing the wine tasting thing, I've not seen any good behavior from her at all.
I know. And then I said, Nate seems clueless and doesn't know Niki well at all, which I've kind of been saying the whole time.
Yeah. It's very weird to me, because it seems like they don't really have a connection, and like a lot of the earlier episodes, like episodes 2 and 3 or whatever, Niki spends being like, I just want to have a romantic getaway with my boyfriend. Like, I just want to hang out with my boyfriend more. And it's like weird that they've been together for a while, right?
A long time, like 2 or 3 years.
That it seems like they don't have like any connection at all. Especially like the fact that like when Niki's like feeling bad, Gabi has to make that like nice like sunset picnic for them.
Right.
And he doesn't think to do that himself.
And then he kind of like never says that like Gabi did this nice thing for us.
Yes. Okay, so going back, I made a note about that. I was like, well, how will Niki react if she finds out that Gabi planned this and not Nate? Because he kind of takes credit for it, which I thought was kind of weird.
Really weird. Like, perfect example, this just happened on Love Island, where like this one couple made like this cute little date for this other couple that they were trying to like fix up.
Mm-hmm.
And the couple, although they like obviously enjoyed it, they thanked like the other people. Like, it doesn't take away from the experience, but it's very weird to go like, I did this. It's like,
yeah,
no,
you didn't.
And I don't think I would enjoy that if my boyfriend claimed to do something and didn't. Like, I don't think I would like.
If your mom set something up and Jeffrey was like, oh yeah, I did this,
I would be like, excuse me? Can I return you to the store? Like, this is not happening for me.
Yeah, it would it's like the thought that would count. Like, I don't know why.
And then the thing about Colin that really confused me is he's both 3 years old and the most mature person.
Colin's a simp.
And their whole conversation about marriage was so confusing to me. Because Niki goes, Gabi goes, I really want to get married. And he's like, I want to graduate from school, but then later he says he didn't go to college, so that was really confusing.
Yeah, that I saw was confusing.
And then he goes, do you want to like wait a few years? And she was like, yeah. And then she was like, I don't care how long it takes. Like,
I'm gonna marry him. Yeah.
It was like so confusing. It's like, are you mad because you want to have been married by now?
Well, it's also, I wrote about how, why are you talking about the future as soon as you get blasted drunk? I'm like, this was not the time to do this.
It just didn't make really any sense. And I just said, I think all of these people need to go their separate ways because they all don't like each other.
And again, like, this whole Gabi and Colin getting married narrative is a narrative that doesn't go anywhere. Like, there was like this whole like, before they went to the pole dancing class in episode 4, before they go to the whole pole dancing class, like that's kind of where the thing goes, where it's like we were about to elope and we ended up not doing it because like my mom really wanted me to get my dad's blessing or something like that. And I was like, why did you spend like a minute and a half talking about this and then never have it develop at all? Like, this, I feel like that's kind of like this show is like, they give you information, but it really doesn't develop or like matter in any way.
And it's also like, a good analogy is like, those competition shows where like the elimination is just based off the person's performance in that episode instead of like the whole thing.
Like
the show
influencer.
Yes.
Charles
like the show feels like that. Like there's no this happened and this happened and this, like they didn't ever so far all sit down with Rachel and be like, why are you acting like this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand your behavior.
Yeah.
Which would happen in a normal friend group.
Yeah, for sure. I made a little note for Alex. Who? She just got dehydrated the first episode and was gone.
She's not even in my notes.
Feel bad for her because, again, it was like she's crying because she like went home, and then Kyle has this whole thing about he was the only one who understood my SpongeBob references, and then we got like content of her for like the 5 minutes when she was going home, and they tried to make drama out of it, but it was like we have no connection to this character because we haven't seen her the entire time.
No.
Speaking of Kyle,
I kind of love him.
I like Kyle. I said, dude, just do be hanging, though. He's just kind of there to have a good time, and everyone around him is just having drama and trying to turn him on while pulled in.
Like, to me, he serves the same function as Dennis. He's, like, the one normal person behaving normally.
Yeah.
I feel like we'd be friends with him.
Yeah, I like him. But we should finish by talking about the twins themselves. Okay. Niki. I said, kind of annoying me. First of all, I made multiple notes, and I kind of skipped over them until this point. Why is her go-to fashion to wear a tank top over a bikini, but then roll the tank top up so her bikini is still showing?
Right.
Someone please tell me why. That's not cute.
In a similar situation with the jean shorts as well.
Yeah. So kind of me and Bianca talking about Niki and Gabi kind of started when we would send each other Niki's outfit posts because we were like, this doesn't work as an outfit. It doesn't really make any sense. With the she's really into that 2000s like
thong showing out of the top
after the jeans.
Yeah.
And that I think that combines with the bikini with the tank rolled up so you can see the bikini.
I'm just a little bit confused how this works, like walking, sitting in a car.
I'm just confused. Why even wear the shirt if you're just not gonna really wear it?
Yeah, that's a really valid question.
But going like about her
personality.
Besides like the last 2 episodes where she was like actually feeling sick and like stuff, I kind of felt like she kind of is negative for no reason. Like, it's completely valid if you're like actually feeling sick or if you're like, you know,
going through a hard time.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time. I get that. But then when she's like, I hate being at this wine tasting because like it's so boring. It's like, and then I remember somebody said like, oh, Niki's gonna hate this. I'm like, why? Why is this on the show? If like,
what confused me about that is like, first of all, besides the pole dancing and the museum, there's like no scheduled activities, but they also don't really do anything.
Yeah.
Like, why not have Niki plan something that she's gonna enjoy? Like, yeah. She has the power. I would argue that it's more Niki's show than Gabi's show.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't she just plan something?
Yeah, and the thing that's kind of weird to me is like, at least until episode 7 where they go to Atlantis. Well, episode 6 too, where they go to like the iguana and the other island. There is no reason that this show needs to be in the Bahamas. Like, you could go pole dancing anywhere. You could go wine tasting anywhere. And it just like feels like, what's special about it being in the Bahamas if you're not going to do any Bahamas related activities?
And it seems like, well, first of all the episodes are like 16 minutes, which makes no sense. It's like way too short. Like they must have a lot of footage of like them doing something and having like normal people dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that show?
Yeah, I would watch a show of the outtakes of this show.
And
Yeah.
then, you know, like just Niki's like on Instagram and stuff saying like, this show is just like so wrong and like it didn't happen like that. And it's kind of like the Tana thing all over again. It's like, well, you were a dick to those producers.
Yeah.
You did, you know, all that stuff.
But they didn't, if you yourself said, you know, drama won't sell or drama sells, then there's obviously no reason that they're going to put in like, oh, you being nice to the producers, you just hanging out with your friends. Like
Right.
if you've advertised this show as, you know, a drama filled reality TV show, but like, and then you complain about how it looks like all you do is start drama and be mean. It's like, yeah, it was your show. You could have just made a show of you and your friends hanging out and having fun, but that's not the show you chose to make. To finish off, Gabi. Gabi's fine. Gabi's fine. I feel like she doesn't really do much in way of drama. She's kind of there as like, I guess, kind of a comedic relief, except for like with her and her like Captain Rebecca and like stuff, and like she's kind of there and she's just kind of having fun or whatever, and then like all of a sudden she just keeps getting dunked on by everyone just spreading her shit around.
It seems like the show is just different coping mechanisms for attention-starved people.
Mm-hmm.
And for Gabi, it's like, first of all, obviously like having Colin there because he like pays attention to her.
Yeah.
And they're like kind of cute, like not amazing.
Kind of weird. Like going into a bathroom kind of trying to, you know, get it on with your boyfriend.
Strange. But also, like, she seems like she's just trying to make everybody feel better. Like, this vacation is not going how she wanted it to go. And she's just like, I'm done. Like, let's have fun. Let's go do this thing. Let's go pet the pigs, whatever. She's like, so cute when she was talking about how she had, like, a bearded dragon. And how, like, she's very sweet. Mm-hmm. And I don't really understand because her online persona is like not that. Like she posts all the time, my hater, blah, blah, blah. And like,
and her whole drama with Gabi, Hannah, and Trisha too.
Yes. Like I'm very confused by who she is in a very different way that I'm confused about who Niki is. Mm-hmm. Like Niki seems very like chill, normal on the internet. And she's very entitled, strange in this video, whereas Gabi's kind of the opposite. She seems very, like, entitled, looks-focused on the internet, and very, like, chill and normal in this show. So I'm very confused about what these people are actually like.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think a show like this is supposed to be, like Niki said, like, real, humanize them. And I feel like it did the opposite. I don't understand who they are.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's like, how am I supposed to look at Rachel now and be like, oh yeah, you're just normal, you're chilling. Like if I like look at her Instagram pictures, it probably makes her seem normal, but it's like all I've seen of you is you like stirring shit.
And being very weird. And shoving people. You want to shove?
It's horrible.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of... That's all we have for right now.
Yeah. We can update it if people want to see more once the show ends. I don't know how many episodes there's supposed to be.
Let us know if you desperately need a part 2.
Yeah. Let us know what you want to see. We can rank American Girl dolls. We can do whatever you want.
Just let us know what you want to see and we will make it happen.
Yes. Thank you for listening or watching.
Yes, whichever.
Mwah.
Mwah.